A very good morning. We're glad you're still watching Morning at NTV. We do continue with Take Note, where we are going to understand the issues surrounding midwives in Uganda and, of course, within the greater context of our health care infrastructure. Of course, yesterday was the International Day of the Midwife, and the 12th of May is primed to be the International Day of Nurses. Joining us to discuss this particular issue is the Treasurer at the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union, Sister Annette Birungi. Welcome to the show and a very good morning.
Well, thank you.
What was celebrated yesterday in terms of the International Day for the Midwife?
Oh, yesterday, let me remove my mask.
Oh, thank you. We are pretty much okay right here.
Yes, the viewers outside there, International Midwives Day usually happens on 5th every year, 5th May. In the month of May. We celebrated yesterday the 100 years of progress in midwifery, and it was celebrated in Kabale. Yes. But this is a day where the midwife is supposed to celebrate the work that they have done for the community, for the mothers and the child, but also the community is supposed to
appreciate the work they do, and most importantly for the stakeholders across the healthcare system to draw a little bit more light on the issues that affect the midwives in the conduct of duty. Now, before we go any further, allow the audience to understand. Many of us, and I'm sure people out there, confuse the midwife, the nurse, the doctor, the clinical officer. Who is the midwife within the setting of a hospital?
The midwife, actually, the midwife is supposed to care for the mother and the child. So they study during their course, they study basically things related to when the mother is pregnant, the care you give during the first time they come for the antenatal
maternal health.
Yes, at the time of birth, up to even after delivery, they have to care for the mother and the child. But the most important part is the time when the mother is giving birth, and that is the time when the midwife is tensed so much to see that at least there is live birth.
Okay.
Yes.
The spectre of maternal health in Uganda is one that has a grim picture around it. So many mothers are dying in childbirth. So many women are not finishing their terms of pregnancy because of the challenges that they encounter within the process. I do not know whether we can attribute it to the lack of efficient or even sufficient midwifery services in the country, or it's a case that perhaps is due to different factors away from that.
Yeah, you are right, but majorly I think it is because the midwives are very few. I think the human resource, the midwives are very few. You find that one midwife can deliver like between 5 to 10 mothers a night. And if, for example, it is an evening, you can find 2 midwives caring for around 50 mothers. 50
mothers?
Yes.
25. 2 midwives?
Yes, 2 midwives, because those are special duties, and that is the time when we usually lose the children and the mothers, because you find that you're caring, one midwife is caring for 6 mothers. For example, the ratio, and you find that is not really applicable.
What is it supposed to be?
At least
a midwife to a single mother?
1 to 3.
1
maybe,
to 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes you find a midwife is very much strained and is able to deliver around 6 to 10 mothers in a night here in Uganda. So it is very, very...
As Treasurer at the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union, you may not be well suited to answer this question, but I'm sure you've spoken to some of your bosses and those others who are leading the campaign. What is being done? What particular initiative is in place to ensure that that particular challenge is addressed, the human resource aspect?
Of course, I will first talk about the president of Uganda has tried to say that scientists should be paid well. And this one is what all of us are praying for, because we do work that is very tense. And the midwives are happy outside there also about
on the news
it,
of
on the news about enhancement.
Increment.
Yes, about enhancement, but also they are trying to train more midwives. But today, as I talk, the ratio of the mothers to the midwives. The mothers are more than what? More than the midwives. Okay. So there are very few staffs.
As we wait for the enhancement of salaries by the president and the government for that matter, I would like to desist from tagging it entirely to the president. He simply pushes government efforts. If the infrastructure in place were better and the payment or the remuneration stayed the same, would your job be easier?
That would push us far, because I know that work overload is becoming a very big problem, because the structure is still not changed since 1995, and it cuts across both nurses and midwives and doctors. So the structure is becoming a very big problem, but I don't know, even if you increase the salaries, when the structure actually is still not changed, there will be a very big problem. And today I want to say that there is also another problem of salary disparities, which is making a lot of chaos outside there. You find that today the doctors, they have already told them that the start salary is going to be 5 million, and the president was very clear about it. But for us as nurses, people are living under stress, and also the midwives are not actually happy. They are wondering, what is that cost? What is that pay that we are going to be given? And I know the budget is being finalized, but as Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union, we are still wondering why government cannot involve us during that, so that we can, during the salary enhancement, so that we can know how much we are supposed to tell these people. They are actually thinking that maybe the doctors will be enhanced, and for them they will not be enhanced. However, the minister has come out clear and said, you know, there is enhancement for all scientists, but when we don't know how much, it is becoming a very big problem for us.
Tell us about the qualifications for midwives and how exactly they come to be certified practitioners within this particular.
Now, in midwifery, we have enrolled midwife. That one studies 2.5.
2.5 years.
Yes, and that also cuts across to the nurses. You know, I'm a nurse, so I want to also explain about what a nurse also is supposed to take. And this person, currently, we wanted them to be the enrolled nurses wanted, enrolled nurses and midwives and enrolled midwives want, we signed an agreement with government, that is a collective bargaining agreement, that this start nurse stroke midwife who studies for 2.5 years should get 1.35. 1.35
as their start salary.
Yes. Then the diploma nurse, we also agreed that this one should get 3 million.
The enrolled
and the other one studies also.
Is the one who does the certificate?
Yes, and studies up to O level. And then the diploma nurse studies up to senior 6. And he comes out as a registered nurse. We need that one to get 3 million.
So what is the other certification?
And we need the other one is a degree nurse stroke midwife. We are requesting government, and we even agreed in a collective bargaining agreement that this person should get 4.8. And these are things that people have not understood very well. They think actually that
you've not explained them pretty well.
We have given government 21 days. We are asking government to actually help us, for us as a workers' body, Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union, who are legally supposed to negotiate for salaries and the welfare of the nurses. We are requesting government to let us know, because people think actually we are not going for strike because they think strikes are the ones which are working, and yet we are trying to negotiate following the law, but again, the government is keeping quiet on the side of the nurses and midwives. And we need to know this because already the nurses, if you go on our social media, you can be surprised. They have been telling me that, the nurses have been given 1 billion to keep quiet. But we don't want to go for strike when actually the government is planning for us. But why should the government actually plan alone when we are also there? And yet by law, we are supposed to negotiate together. There is public service negotiation machinery. At least by now, since it is just 2-3 months to the 2 months to the budget to be read, by now we would be knowing how much we are supposed, so that we calm down our what, because the situation, everybody is going for strike, as if it is a solution for what, for the strike, for the
general welfare of workers in the country,
making the health system to go down because people are tensed.
Of course,
stress comes in as well. If you don't know how much is your take.
As journalists and media house, we shall be keeping tabs on that and seeing how those negotiations end. But most importantly, we are hoping you do not put down tools and go into industrial action, because at the end of the day, it affects a lot of people, and the loss of life is something that we do not actually
I think right now that's not what we are planning, but we already seeing
it's on the cards. It's on the cards
because everybody is saying, can we go for strike so that we get we get to know how much we're supposed to get before.
Anyway, that is something, of course, you're working on. Just allow me, as we wind up this discussion, to come to the aspect of training. 2 or 3 years ago, no, not 2, at least 3 years before the pandemic struck, there was concerns about the training of midwives and nurses, and the schools that are doing this. There were schools that were closed down because they didn't meet the basic standards. The union must be able to either allow for stakeholders who are coming into the business, because offering this kind of education and instruction is both a business and a national duty. For the private sector, how is the union managing to get to monitor whoever is setting up a school of nursing and midwifery? Uganda, we have one problem. Some of the we have a problem of people working in isolation, yet it is under one sector. You find that Ministry of you find that BTVET actually does not involve the union. You find the Ministry of Health doesn't involve the union. So but for us, what we have understood on that is that today, if you want to be a nurse, you should be a nurse. If you want to be a midwife, you should be a midwife. But you shouldn't be both. Don't be both.
Speciality is very, very important, even across the world. So if you go into studying 1 or 2 things at a go in the same semester, it doesn't work like that. Because nursing needs a skill, midwifery needs a skill. Every other course in health needs a lot of concentration and time. So we don't support people who are saying that in the same period of time, someone is studying both midwifery and nursing and other courses. All right,
Sister Aneta Birungi, we are winding up the discussion. Your last words for midwives and nurses across the country, and also a message ahead of the International Day for Nurses that is coming up on the 12th of May.
Yes, we have International Nurses Day in Kamuli, and this was planned way back around 5 years ago. We also have a scientific conference, so we want all the nurses. We have organized as Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union together with the Ministry of Health. We need all the nurses to come for this scientific conference so that they can get more knowledge. But for the government, we need the government to tell us how much are they going to give us, because it is not good for people to continue. Actually, we got information yesterday from the Minister of the general duties, because she was the guest of honor, and she told us that the minister is saying at the end of this month. So I want to tell all the nurses outside there that the government is planning for us, so we should, there is no cause for alarm, but we have already announced the stand that after 21 days, if the government has not come back to us,
and there you have it, an ultimatum from nurses and midwives to the government to ensure that the issue of salary enhancement and better pay and general working conditions is improved. Many thanks for joining us, Sister Aneta Birungi, Treasurer at the Uganda Nurses and Midwives Union, for the perspectives on the day yesterday, which was for midwives, and also 12th May, that is due to be celebrated as International Day for Nurses. We do hope the information that has been divulged by the official is sufficient to allow you understand what is going on within the industry, but most importantly for the young girl and boy out there who's seeking to go and study nursing or midwifery. It is important, at least I've taken out as a takeaway, that you don't have to go for both. Choose midwifery or nursing and specialize. Here at Morning at NTV, we specialize in giving you quality programming, and I understand Stephen Mbide is standing by in Nansana, and the vibe there is massive. Of course, we shall be going there to ensure that we also get the feel of how things are, given the fact that today is Friday and a lot of people within and outside Uganda are ensuring that the weekend comes the best way that it can always come. Time to unwind and of course celebrate some of the milestones that have been reached on a personal level. It could be your professional, whatever you are in terms of work. Whatever you can do, your weekend is always a perfect opportunity to go and unwind. Mental health is critical. And of course, coming off the discussion from the field of health, it means mental health is something that you should pay attention to. Stress. People are stressed. But when you are stressed, it doesn't mean you should buckle. You have the opportunity to, for example, sit back and understand exactly what is happening. Also seek help if you must from those that know better how to deal with the people who are grappling with problems of any nature. It could be a psychiatrist, it could be a counselor, it could be a friend, it could be a mentor. Be able to speak to some of these individuals and of course get the kind of advice that you ought to be getting to ensure that life goes on the best way possible. We need to be productive every single day. Here on Morning at NTV, productivity levels are no doubt very high on Friday. I'm told there is a dance group that is trying to put a few things together, and we shall be getting a little bit of that. But as we wait for them, let's take a breather on Morning at NTV. Stay with us. We shall be right back.